Hello. I'm gonna have a take two. I wonder what happens if I go. Ting. A little talk, a little ray of sunshine. Got some back fat, belly ooze. I just had some pizza. Taco pizza. Taco burgers aren't enough. So, I have notes today. Try not really quiet. I like Sundays. Not everybody does. So, my long story notes of I started writing down notes this morning, probably about 8 o'clock. Hung out with that rascally Haskell. I like him. Ron's a good dude. It was funny, he mentioned frickin' Primarin and horse's urine. And this is gonna sound far-fetched, but when I was a kid, I would research a lot of things, and I was very inquisitive, but not for the subjects that were offered to me in school. I didn't care about history and all that crap, probably because I knew it was bullshit then. So, I remember, because my mom has always been hormonally imbalanced, because when I was born, they did a half hysterectomy and took one of her ovaries. It was like a partial hysterectomy. I don't know, it was weird. So she had to take Primarin, and Primarin has, I remember even reading back then in the 80s, early 80s, that it had horse's urine in it. So it was just interesting about Ron's report on, I said horse's urine, he was talking about horse semen, but I don't know, people modify things, stuff all the time, but I do remember, I don't know, you don't put horse byproducts in people things anyway that you give people, no matter if it's urine or semen, and people can look into what the benefits of that are, and it just basically supports my low vibey, high vibey theory, idea, whatever you want to call it. So I was reminded this morning, anyway, I'm going to shift gears. I was reminded this morning about a movie I once saw in 1984 called Cocoon. And it was a movie by Opie, Ron Howard. And it was basically these aliens came from outer space, dropped these cocoons in a pool in a retirement facility, and all the people in the retirement facility started reversing their age, and of course the skeptic, Bernie. It's funny, the skeptic named Bernie, wouldn't believe, and then when his beloved was a casualty, he thought maybe he could believe then, but it was too late for Bernie. I got that idea when I was watching UAMN TV this morning. I watched a really cool video. I've been watching a lot of UFO videos. I don't know, I believe that either people take stuff to their grave or they want to confess all their sins, depending on what vibrational direction they vibe in. You're either of the light or you're not. There's no other category to put you in. Either you vibe high or you vibe low in frequency. Here's a fine example of this. Main media, I don't have any, I every now and again I'll go to Reuters.com and intentionally just to see what they're saying, but I learned a long time ago I don't really believe anything unless I see it myself, and the stuff I see myself, people don't believe me anyway, so what difference does it make? So there's a young artist that died on 420, and this is also, oftentimes my ideas are supported by evidence after fact, and here's another example of that. The young artist, his name is Avicii, two eyes. And he was 28, so he wasn't part of the 27 club. That was my first thought. Because every time like those numbers, I get it mixed up, and every time I gotta look to see, who, whether it was Bradley, Amy, Bob, or Jimmy, Janice, how old were they? Because I get the two numbers mixed up. Anyway, so he was 28, so he's not a 27 club member. Although, this is what's interesting. I believe for every positive, there's a negative reaction. That's why, I don't know, I kind of believe that's why I was born on April 9th, same day as that fucking Hugh Hefner, to transmute that. And and oddly enough, anyway, so, and I also met a lot of people, or a handful of people in my life. It's like, that was the day one of their parents died, so it's, anyway, so to every incident, every story, there's a positive and negative way to look. There's so many ways to look at it, but there's a positive and negative that comes out of it. So on Super Bowl Sunday, there's that, the whole country was charged because of, I fucking hate sports, I fucking hate them, because those Eagles in frickin' the city of brotherly love, fucking grossness, shit on themselves after they won. That's kind of karmic in itself. So, the funny part about, not the funny part, but the part that with all that, the good that could have come out of that, with people just being joyous and free, they had to turn it into a dark something. And that was the day my sweet noble transitioned into the light. He died, and I held him when he took his last breath. So it was like that negative transmuted, or that experience that I had with him was so beautiful and so positive that it transmuted that freaking nastiness on the opposite side of the country from me, where most nastiness begins. It's where DC is. Come on. I'm not saying anything that ain't true. If you're offended, it's because you support the freaking nastiness. Yep. So, now Avicii, this artist, I didn't know the name, so I had to listen to his YouTube. I had to go to YouTube and find some videos on Vimeo or whatnot. And, oh God, I recognize these songs. That's terrible. And then I went to Wikipedia, and all the reports say there's no well, he wasn't shot and killed or anything like that. I did see something. Now he's only 28, and I saw something in 2012. He was admitted to the hospital for pancreatitis caused by over drinking. Now, I was a friend of Bill W. I still think I'm a friend of Bill W. I'm just not active. I don't hang out with him every day as often as I once did. My dedication is elsewhere. Although I've been around a lot of people that have been known to be held in high regard in that program, and I do know it enough to respect the seventh tradition and the superstars that are flashing your sobriety all over the freaking everywhere for ego recognition. You might want to reconsider what that program's about. Maybe think about anonymity. It's you're doing it wrong, Eminem. Jack Osborne, you're doing it wrong. You might know the steps, but if you don't know the tradition, those steps are going to fall out from underneath you. Yep, that's a fact, Jack. So, anyway, I looked up this Avicii guy, because that's not his real name. I'm just saying, if he was 22 and he did that much damage, pancreatitis, that's overachievery freaking alcohol abuse. And I never got to the point where I had tremors every day, but I knew a lot of people that did. I knew officers, colonels that would put alcohol, vodka in their windshield wiper reservoir So when they'd start to get the tremors, they could just pull off to the side of the road, lift the hood of their car, and take some draws to get the jitters to stop. Yep. I probably know a few that have done that. Heck, one probably gave the rest a whole bunch across the whole road that same idea. You probably see all these freaking drunken officers all over, tinkering under their hood. Whatever. So this Avicii guy, I looked up to, I'm like, what does Avicii mean? So I looked up Avicii, and in Buddhism and in Pali, it means without waves. That's what it means. Vibeless, without waves. You're a line if you have no pulse, which is really contrary to what as a musician he's supposed to be. And there's one of 5 things that people do can that makes people like this. I don't have my list, but there's things that you can do, like by killing a spiritual being. That'll freaking blast you. Anyway, so this guy, that's what he chose his name to be, Bibeless. And he pumped up a lot of people. I enjoyed his music. The thing is when you're that empty inside, you can have all the fame, all the money, all you want, and when you throw the dark elixir of alcohol into that mix, it brings you down to a low vibration. And I believe, like those other same-minded people, that when people drink and consume alcohol, their spirit leaves, because there's no place for it. Your spirit is too light, and there's no room for the darkness, which alcohol brings. So if people always say, oh, people do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do when they're drunk. Yes, they would. They just hide behind the veil like a coward, the excuse of being drunk or not knowing what you're doing. Because a real person that stands in integrity, knowing that the decisions that they make, they would just abstain. And many do. Many like to dance with their dark side from time to time. I just know that the older I get and the more I learn, the more sensitive and the repercussions I have putting that darkness into my system. So I just think it's really interesting that this Avicii guy chose his title as Without Waves. And on the day of 420, when so many celebrate the herb, the weed, the plant, the freeing of the minds, the community, the camaraderie, in a true organic sense, that's when I think he just dipped a little too low, dipped a little bit too far down to come back up. And it's unfortunate. And let him be a lesson to us all. So, what else? If you like to watch some UFO stuff too, or like to look into that stuff, MUFRON, Mutual UFO Network, is a great resource. Hi, sassafras! It's a little hot for a sweater, don't you think? And one of my favorite storytellers in that venue is Glenroe Moulton. So, I hope you all have a rad day. I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you all just remember that even if you dip low every now and again, vibe low, you don't have to stay down there. We all make mistakes, man. We all freaking... If people would just embrace their imperfections, there are ways to get past them. You don't have to keep doing the same thing over and over. Have a rad day. Peace.